On today's episode of Birch Talks a Little Too Much, we're getting political. For those of you who subscribe to my channel or have seen one of my videos, you know that I mostly talk about all things music. But someone left a comment on my last video that got me thinking. It seems like a lot of the topics that I go into represent a microcosm of greater issues that we face as a country. Whether it be the Live Nation Ticketmaster monopoly, or Spotify's rise to power through backdoor deals, or the lack of health insurance for most artists that are signed to major labels, these issues seem to feed into a trend that we're seeing more and more today. A trend that neither the left nor the right seem to have any intention of solving, and that is the rise of the few over the fall of the many. The United States, since its inception, has been economically run under the pretense of capitalism and the free market, which, in my opinion, on paper seems to be the best system that we've got today. But as it currently stands, is the market really free anymore? Just look at the financial crisis in 2008, when big banks got greedy and made ungodly sums of money gambling with American mortgages until it blew up right in their faces. And what did the American government do? They gave these banks a get-out-of-jail-free card with a bonus of $700 billion in taxpayer money. In a properly functioning capitalist free market, a lot of those banks would have gone under. But when you have huge sums of money going directly from the accounts of defense, pharmaceutical, and financial institutions into campaign funds of every politician running for office today, this creates a cycle of control where, in order to get elected and stay in office, you have to accept money from billionaires and large corporations. And in order to receive these donations, it is implied that you will carry the best interest of your donors when it comes time to vote on or create legislation. So although our politicians are elected on this idea of serving the people who voted for them, they really serve the people who paid for the commercials.
But if I'm a normal politician who needs to raise $20, $50 million, where am I going to go? I'm going to sit down with the wealthy. I'm going to go to the country club. I'm going to do my fundraisers at fancy resorts. And I get to know those people. But that's the whole point of this corrupt campaign finance system. If you're going to contribute $1 million to my super PAC, well, maybe you're a hell of a nice guy and you like to participate. Or maybe you want something. I think you want something. And you and a guy are going to become really good buddies so I can do your bidding. In other words, the millionaire class and the billionaire class increasingly own the political process, and they own the politicians who go to them for money.
This idea of a small group of people who battle amongst themselves and determine the trajectory of our country at the federal and state level seems to be getting more and more real. What we have is a few companies that have amassed huge sums of wealth and political capital over the last half century, and they now use these resources to ensure they fulfill their fiduciary duty to maximize profits for their shareholders, leaving in their wake epidemics like prescription drug addiction, massive individual credit card debt, a 60-year cycle of wars across the Middle East, Asia, and Europe, a 24-hour news cycle built on selling products instead of reporting the truth, a border crisis with no end in sight, and record-high wealth inequality, just to name a few. All this while we have 3 companies who are the largest shareholders in almost every publicly traded stock. We have 4 companies who make up 50% of the publicly available defense contracts, and we have 5 companies who make up 60% of the pharmaceutical industry. Hence, the corporate oligarchy. Through social media and the other myriad of distractions that we have, the American people have become almost sedated, unable to address the problems that we're facing while we order food to our door, binge garbage TV, and scroll through memes on Twitter. And unless we start paying attention, supporting politicians who put action behind their words, and stop pointing the finger at your neighbor who believes in something a little different than you, and start pointing the finger up at those who have led us to this situation that we're in, we may just hand the keys of this whole thing over to a system that's no longer devised to serve its people.